So I want to take some time and talk about traffic. It is probably the most critical aspect of a successful city. I did a tutorial earlier, but looking back at that tutorial, it was looking at a city that was already complete and describing some things, and I'm not sure that really does what it is that I wanted to accomplish. And then I got a comment from a viewer asking if I would discuss traffic. So I want to kind of get more basic with it instead of looking at a city that's already complete. It's so important to keep in mind that this entrance to your city and the exit to your city and the traffic that takes place inside the city is just so critical. Your residents have to be able to get to work, they have to be able to get to school, to go shop. Your industry needs to be able to ship goods from industrial areas to commercial areas. The commercial areas are waiting for deliveries to come from the industrial areas. Both industry and commercial are waiting for people to arrive to work. In the event of commercial, they're waiting for people to arrive not only to work but to shop. So it's really important to make sure that the traffic is flowing as best as possible. Um, another another illustration is, let's say you have a specialization and you're trying to ship something out of the city. This is where traffic becomes. So, in looking back at my earlier tutorial, I think it was a good start, but there's more that I want to discuss. So, I want to maybe let's build a couple of roads. Let's start flushing out building a city, um, and looking at the different ways in which traffic can be impacted. I'm just going to draw this out. So this, and even if you look here, it says make a, they want you to break ground, draw a road from the highway. That's what this is. This is a highway. It's an extension of the highway out here. So one of the things that I did early on, I've seen videos where people make this same potential mistake, is you start the game and you zone on the highway. Early in the game, this may not be that big of a concern. But the thing that you have to remember is this is the highway. And in real life, would you put houses, businesses, shops on a highway? The game is going to look at each one of these. Let's speed up so we can get some things built. The game is going to look at each one of these houses, businesses, and industrial areas as an intersection. So, what happens when these industrial areas start shipping out goods and traffic coming in from the city has to stop and wait for the delivery trucks to leave, or has to stop and wait for delivery trucks to. This is a great example. You've got moving trucks. City's not that busy, so it doesn't make that big of a deal now. But over time, it can become an issue. So, another thing that I see, and one of the things that I used to do, is a road immediately at the entrance of the city. So this is now an intersection at the entrance of the city. Over time, as the city builds up, you're now asking your traffic that's coming into this city to potentially stop just moments into entering the city. So that is another potential concern. So I'm sure we've all seen this layout. If you played the game when it first came out, if you watched videos when this game first came out, we all laid out our cities this way, where we literally took the expressway, ran it right into the city. This is a city of just over 8,000 people. I have a backup. Traffic is lined up. Now, yes, to be fair, this is a young city and a lot of this are moving trucks, but still, we've got ourselves quite a backup. Getting into the city, the stoppage is happening not necessarily here, but it's happening because they're running into intersections. So this street, stop sign. This street, a stop sign. No stop sign here. They've got straightaway access, but they're running into other slow ups. What happens is once you start the process of upgrading these roads, so let's take this, and this is now a low density. Once I turn that into medium density, I now have stoplights. So now I've got traffic lights that's going to further slow up my traffic into the city. I have some early games from years ago. I wish I had saved them, but I got my city to the point where the majority of the roads were high density, and I lost that city. And really, it's you just don't, we were still learning. So the two things: first of all, getting into the city is a challenge, but navigating the city is a challenge. Just way too many four-way intersections that are not needed. You don't need your blocks to be that close to each other. So now here is kind of another level to doing this. Same layout. I took away some of those, what I would call unnecessary four-way intersections. I still have some traffic, but not as many intersections. I made it easier to get into the city. They still have a light to deal with, but as you can see, trying to get into the city is not nearly as complicated because I'm giving them much more highway, and I'm treating this as a highway. I've not zoned on this road, because if I were to zone something on this road, now those buildings would be considered an intersection, and I don't want that. So this is one way of working with getting traffic in and out of your city, especially if you're dependent on traffic coming in, because there's going to be a time where you may be sending fire trucks from another city or an ambulance from another city, or the big one is your power supply. The resources for a coal power plant or an oil power plant are coming from outside of the city. If those resources can't get in, that's more of an issue. So now I'm starting to introduce the concept of a roundabout. And this concept, what it does is I'm trying to provide as many avenues as possible. So what's slowly starting to happen is this road is becoming a primary road for my industry. For people trying to get to work, they now have these three roads leading in, and I would make them higher density, or I would even make them avenues just to help out. And now we're starting to take away from some of that congestion within the city. So now what you can do is you can now start to try to direct the traffic in a way that works for the city. So they're wanting to take the shortest path, which means you're going to get some congestion here when I want them using this road. So just what you can do is just kind of look at the roads, see where they're going. If you want to go to work, you've got this and this. And I know this is very simple, and as the city grows, this wouldn't hold up as well, but this is just for demonstration purposes. If you want to get out of the city from back here, then I could create something like that. Now, another thing that you can also look into is really letting this road here be even more open to traffic. So sometimes when you watch me work on a city, I'll direct the traffic that way, and now you've got even more access, traffic coming in, and then this traffic is even more free. You can offset your intersections. So instead of this, and they were using that as the shortest path, you can give something like that a try and see what happens. Over time, you're going to see, if I were really building this up heavily, then you would have a lot of people trying to get to work here or get out of the city. At the midpoint of a city, one of the things that you will see me do is I will start to create overpasses that helps the traffic out. Let's go ahead and by that point, this would more than likely be I would have turned this into a, so if they're looking for the shortest path and they live here, and you were to create something like this, all of the people that are living here, and for demonstration purposes, and because this is a highway, but I'm using it differently because it's further into the city. But everybody living here would at some point recognize my shortest and quickest path to get to industry is here. You've even seen me do shortest and quickest path to get out of the city or into the city. Let's say some deliveries are coming in. So now I'm creating multiple ways, and they're already, I've got delivery trucks, moving vans, have already recognized that was the quickest way to start setting up those houses, literally within seconds of setting that down. So that was about 3 or 4 delivery trucks, and there they go again, leaving. They have recognized that that is the best way to get to the back of the city. Let's say you have a specialization. We're going to use oil, even though, well, look, there is oil there. So let's do an oil specialization. So let's put a road here. Let's put an oil well. I need to ship the oil out of the city. Let's export. Now, here's the thing. I do not want this traffic of the city to interfere with my specialization. If you watch me specialize in oil, processors, things of that nature, I want to make life as easy as possible for them. The only traffic that I want here is traffic specifically meant to be in that area. So what I will do is, instead of connecting that to my city as a whole, let's go ahead and give it its own. Let's find a good spot here. Now let's just do that for right now. Now I have a road specifically set up solely for an oil industry. So trucks that are leaving are coming. So as I am in the process of selling my oil and the trucks come in, all they have to deal with is whatever traffic is taking place here. Nothing in the city. They come across, they get oil, I make money, they leave. So my oil depot is full. So what should happen is we should get a delivery, not a delivery, we should export. Let's see if a truck shows up. Oh, that was it right there. There's an oil truck. Now let's follow it. So it is bypassing whatever traffic would have been there. And it goes. It is not having to deal with any of the traffic within the city, just the roundabout. Once it clears the roundabout, it's gone. Excellent. But as you can see, we've got a modest city of about 12,000 individuals. We've taken some steps to minimize the traffic within the city, the traffic getting into the city. Can't completely get away from four-way intersections. You can try, but you can't completely get away from it. But this process of trying my best to minimize those large number of four-way intersections, small blocks, take those small blocks and create longer, larger blocks. Those are some things that are helpful. Here comes another delivery because I do not want to hinder, I don't want to impede in making money from my city. So in, he's going to go. We're going to make some money. Nice. And then back out. So we have ourselves an itty bitty little city that's got all the things set up. It's got an industrial area, it's got some commercial, it's got some residential. Over time, the fact that commercial is there and people living way out here don't have commercial, they'll start complaining. Of course, we need to set up building fire. We need, much more of the actual services that you would find in a city. I need more. I don't think I have a clinic or all of those things. This is really about showing how to get roads laid out in such a way where things happen a bit more smoothly. When you think about where we started, same city, but traffic was lined up in both directions, and with just a few changes to the city internally and leading into the city, we now have given ourselves an opportunity to not only reduce traffic, but an opportunity to make some funds with our specialization. So now that we've spent a little bit of time getting a city up and running using some of these strategies and tips and approaches to the roads, what I want to do now is let's go in part two. Let's go to a couple of cities, take a look at a couple of different approaches to the entrance to the city, some overpasses, and how I approach the actual roads within the city. So let's do that, and that will be in part two.